In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to securely ingest data from Azure Blob Storage to an Azure SQL Database using the Azure Data Factory by configuring private endpoint for both services and creating a pipeline with copy activity. We can ensure that data remains within a secure network, preventing exposure to public internet. So let's get started. This is portal.azure.com. Now, the first thing you want to do is to provision an Azure Blob Storage account, create a container, and load the sample data into the container. Now, to provision the Azure Blob Storage account, I'm going to click on the storage account. Now, in the case if you do not have it on this side, I'm going to come to the search menu and search for storage account, and then I'm going to click on it. Now, this is going to take me to the storage account environment, and I'm going to click on this create button, and it's going to take me to the create a storage account page. So under the basics, I'm going to provide my project details, which include a subscription, and I'm going to use my Visual Studio Enterprise subscription, and I'm going to choose my resource group where that specific service will be housed, which is RCG Cornerstone Analytics. And then for the instance details for the storage account name, I'm going to call this one storage account private one, and I'm going to maintain my region, which is the UK South, and I'm going to just click on the review plus create, and this is going to be validated, and then I can click on create button at the bottom. So this is going to be submitted for deployment, and in about 2 minutes this should be fully provisioned. Okay, your deployment is complete. So I'm going to click on go to resource, and we can see storage account private one is now created. Now I'm going to go under data storage, click on containers, and I'm going to click on container, and I'm going to call this one sales data container and 8 create at the bottom, and this is going to be created. Now I'm going to go right into the sales data container, and I'm going to use the upload functionality to browse through all the files on my local laptop, and then I can ingest into the newly created container. So I can see I've got sales 2015 to sales 2023.csv. So I'm going to press Ctrl A to select all the files, and then just click open at the bottom, and then I can click on upload, and this will be ingested into the container. There we go. Now we have all of this file. Let's just see the sales 2020.csv so that we can see the columns and the data in it. So I'm going to click on edit, and at the bottom I'm going to click on preview, and then we can see we have the year, region, subcategory, product, and the sales. Now the same number of column across all the sales 2015 to 2023. Excellent. Now I'm going to close this tab, and I'm going to come to the next tab. Now I'm going to go ahead and launch the Azure SQL Database and create a table that we're going to use to ingest the data coming from the Azure Blob Storage account into the Azure SQL table using the Azure Data Factory private endpoint. So for this, I'm going to launch my SQL Server, which is Cornerstone Analytics. Click on that, and then on the left hand side I'm going to use the query editor to see the query editor. So I can use my password, I can even use my entry ID, which is also known as the Azure Active Directory in the past. So click on continue as Abiola at Cornerstone, and so on and so forth, and then we have the query editor launched. Now I'm going to come in and paste this create table statement. So this is going to be called private sales data, and I've got the year, region, subcategory, product, and the sales with the appropriate data types. So I can go on and select all these create table statements and run the code, and this executed nicely. Now I'm going to select star to see the content, whether we have data by magic or not. So I'm going to call the name of the table, which is private, or let me just copy it from here, private sales data, and I'm going to paste here and select the O code, and I can hit the run button. So we can see this returned 0 rows, and I can click on this result, and then we can see no results to display. That's cool. Now I want to launch the Azure Data Factory, so I'm going to come to the next tab, and then I've got this Cornerstone Analytics ADF. So I'm going to click on that, and then I can click on the launch the studio. Cornerstone Analytics Azure Data Factory is now launched. Now we're going to proceed to create an Azure integration runtime, which will provide the compute infrastructure to ingest data from the Azure Blob Storage accounts to the Azure SQL Database in a managed Azure environment. Now to create the Azure integration runtime, I'm going to click on Manage, and then I'm going to say this integration runtime. So we have this default auto resolve integration runtime, and this is an Azure type, and this is public, and it is always running as long as you have your Azure Data Factory launched. Now I'm going to click on new, and then we can set up the integration runtime. So I'm going to use the Azure self-hosted, which we use to perform data flows, data movement, and dispatch activities to external compute. So I'm going to click on it and then click on continue. And then for the network environment, I'm going to stick with the Azure, and we use this for running data flows, data movement, external and pipeline activities in a fully managed serverless compute in Azure. So click on that and then click on continue. And then I'm going to give this a meaningful name. I'm going to call this one my private integration runtime. And then I can give this a description. Let me just call this one demo integration runtime. And then I'm going to stick with this type, which is of course Azure anyway. And then I'm going to provision this in the same UK South region. So I'm going to set for the region UK South, and then I'm going to come very importantly to the virtual network. So click on this, and then we have this virtual network configuration. Now this is always disabled. Now I'm going to enable it because we want to run it privately. And then we're going to have this interactive authoring, enable interactive authoring capability after creation. Now this is fine. Now this is going to go live in 60 minutes. Now you can choose whatever time you like, but this is fine for this demonstration. And then I'm going to click on create. So we can say we have this my private integration runtime, and then we have this Azure, and then we have this managed virtual network, and this is running. Now this is going to take a while, and we can say enabling interactive authoring capability for my private integration runtime, and this is now running as the status. Now I'm going to come to the bottom and click on this manage private endpoints, and then we can say we have no private endpoints. Now I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to create endpoint on top of the Azure Blob Storage account itself. So I'm going to search for Azure Blob Storage and then click on continue. And I'm going to call this one Azure Blob Storage Private Endpoint. And then I'm going to proceed to choose my Azure subscription, which is the Visual Studio Enterprise. And I'm going to choose the storage account, which is the storage account private one. And then I can click on create. So we can see this private endpoint has now been created. Now we're going to see provisioning, and then we have this VNet name as default. Now we're going to authorize this private endpoint from the storage account. So I'm going to come here, and then I'm going to go right to the storage account itself and make sure you are in this environment. I'm going to search for networking and click on that. And then I'm going to come to the private endpoint, click on this, and then we're going to say the storage account private one, which is here. So I'm going to select this, and then I can click on approve this connection. So click on yes. So we can see approving private endpoint connections, and this is now approved, which is absolutely fantastic. Now I'm going to come back to the ADF, and then we still have this provisioning. Now I'm going to click on refresh, and this is going to take approximately 5 minutes or less. So after this is fully sorted, we should see succeeded and approved on both sides. So I'm going to keep on refreshing, and I'll continue this video as soon as this is sorted. Amazing. So this succeeded and it has been approved. Now we're going to proceed to create linked services to the source and the destination, and then we're going to create data sets, and then we're going to create the copy data activity. So I'm going to come to linked services, and I'm going to click on new, and I'm going to search for blob storage and click on continue. Now I'm going to maintain this name, or let me just call it Azure Blob Storage Linked Service. And then I'm going to choose this time around not this default auto resolve integration runtime, but the private integration runtime we just created, which is the managed virtual network. So click on that, and then we can say this integration authoring enabled. Now this is really important. Now when you click on there, you can see it is used for testing connection, browsing folder, table list, importing schema parameter, and previewing data inside managed virtual network. So this is really important, and I'm going to just choose my Visual Studio Enterprise subscription, and then I'm going to choose the storage account, which is the storage account private one, and then I can click on test connection. We can even see we have the approved Azure Blob Storage endpoint, which is absolutely cool. So I can click on test connection, and this is going to certainly give us a successful connection. Okay, there we go. Connection successful. Now I'm going to click on create, and then we have the linked service created to the Azure Blob Storage account. Now I'm going to create one more for the Azure SQL Database, and I'm going to click on continue. And I'm going to maintain this name Azure SQL Database linked service. Let me just add linked service. And then I'm going to use also the same my private managed virtual network. Now, this is absolutely fine. It's going to work. So I'm going to choose that. And then I'm going to provide my, again, subscription. And then I'm going to choose the name of my server, which is Cornerstone Analytics Server. And then for the name of the database, this is going to be Cornerstone Analytics DB. And then for the authentication type, I'm going to use the SQL authentication, which requires the username and password. Now, to get the username, I'm going to come back here quickly, or let me just come here and I'm going to go back, or let me just cancel this, go to the overview and click OK, and then I'm going to click on the server name, and this is going to take me to the SQL server part, and then I can see the server admin, which is the same thing as my username. I'm going to come back here, get rid of this, paste, and I'm so sure this password is correct. So I'm going to click on test connection, and this will give us a successful connection to the Azure SQL database. So I'm going to click on create, and we have the two linked services created. Now, these are sorted. Now I'm going to come to the author tab. In the author, I'm going to create data set to the source and the destination. So for this, I'm going to click on this ellipsis, and then I can create a new data set. And I'm going to search for blob storage and click on continue. And I'm going to choose delimited text because our data is a comma separated value. And then I'm going to click on continue. I'm going to call this one source data set. And then I'm going to choose the link service we just created, and then I'm going to say the connect via the integration runtime, my private integration runtime, manage virtual network, and then we have the interactive authoring enabled. Now we can go ahead and browse through the file path. So click on this folder icon, and then we can see the saved data container, and then we have all the saved 2015 to 2023.csv. Now, because we want to logically append all of these files, I'm not going to select any, so just click on OK, and then we can access all the entire files in that saved data container. Now, the first row indeed contain error, so this is checked automatically, and which is absolutely fine. And then for the import schema, I'm going to maintain this default from connection store, and then click on OK. All right, so we have the data set to the source, and then we'll create the data set to the destination, which is the Azure SQL database. So again, I'm going to come here, click on this ellipsis, and create a new data set, and I'm going to search for Azure SQL database and click on continue. I'm going to maintain this name, and I'm going to choose the linked service we created, and then we can see also we have the my private integration runtime, and we have the interactive authoring enabled. Again, I'm going to choose the table, which is private sales data, and then I'm going to maintain all this default import schema. Click on OK. So we have the two data sets now created. Now we can go on and create our pipeline and use the copy data activity, specify the name, specify the source and the destination, and then we can debug. So let's do that. I'm going to come to this ellipsis and then create a new pipeline. And I'm going to close this for now, and I'm going to search for copy data activity under the activities and drag into the canvas, and I'm going to call this one copy data using private endpoint. You can use whatever name you like. And then we can go to the source. Let me just collapse this a little bit so that we can see what is going on. So I'm going to choose the newly created data set, which is the source data set. And then I can see this file path type. Now I'm going to choose the wildcard file path because we have more than one CSV file in that location. So we want to logically append all the files. Now, in order to achieve that, we must enable this wildcard file path. And then we have the start. Now, this is going to actually look through or check through the file and pick all the CSV files. And I can go to the sync. Now, in the sync, I'm going to choose the data set we created, which is the Azure SQL table. So I'm going to click on validate, and let's check for any errors. You can see we have no errors. Now that is brilliant. I'm going to close this tab, and then I can click on debug, and then I'm going to see this use data flow debug session. Please select VNet based integration runtime as your data flow is using VNet integration source that target. Now I'm going to choose use activity runtime. Absolutely fine. And then we can see the data pipeline is now provisioned to be executed, and this is going to show at the bottom here. So we can see the activity name, the status as queued. We have the activity which is the copy data activity, and then we can see all other details. So I'm going to wait for some couple of moments, and all things being equal, we should have a successful integration from the Azure Blob Storage account to the Azure SQL Database via the Private Endpoint. Amazing. So this succeeded. Cool. Now I'm going to quickly come to the Azure SQL Database and check this out. So let me just quickly come back here, and then I can go back to the SQL Database, launch the editor, click on continue as Abiola, and then let's just say let's just perform total sales by year. So I'm going to select the year column, and let me just type in year column, comma, and then we can use the sum function, and I'm going to sum the sales column, and I'm going to call that as total sales, and I'm going to use the from. So this is going to come from the private sales data, and then we can use the group by, and I'm going to group by the year column, and I can put in a semicolon, I can select the code and run the query. Absolutely fantastic. So we have the total sales by year. So we can see we have the year 2015, and when I scroll down, we can see up to 2023 based on the number of files that is loaded into our my private one container. Let me just quickly show you again. So we can see all the files 2015 to 2023, and then we can see the query 2015 to 2023 total sales. So this is how we can safely and securely ingest data from the Azure Storage Blob to the Azure SQL Database using the Azure Data Factory private integration runtime. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, like, comment, share, and follow me for more because there is a lot to come. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.